Okay, y'all, I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as I can. Didn't I say I was gonna stop saying that? But anyway, let's talk about worrying. Let's talk about worrying. So the scripture today comes from Matthew 6:25. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothes? God is basically saying, don't worry, I got this. I feed the birds and the air, so I'm going to take care of you as well. But you know, human nature is to do just that. Worry, worry, worry. My mom was a constant worrier. She always worried about us. She worried about, making the next meal, paying the mortgage. She had a lot on her, so she constantly worried. But I was talking to my husband last week about a situation that had occurred years and years ago. I want to say around 2011, I think. It could have been even before that. It probably was before then. But anyway, my mom and I had lived with my grandmother for several years. So we stayed there, and the property was pretty big. And my grandmother was getting up in age, and so was my mom. My mom was dealing with some health conditions. She had not fully told us everything. And again, my grandmother had always been like very strong, had this big old garden. She took really good care of all of us, So yeah, she was like our go-to person. She was like the person in our family, So, but she started coming down for her health, and she did not want to move at all. But we kept having conversations with her, and she finally said, "Okay, I'll move into a senior citizen home." And my mom was going to be moving into the same senior citizen home with her. They were going to be in two separate apartments, but it worked out perfect. It was perfect, So yeah, so we were like, okay. So I was elected to handle, all the paperwork and get everything, situated and going. And they had given me $1,400. It was $700 for each of their deposits. And so they had given me the money to make sure I got the deposit over to the facility along with all their paperwork. The person allowed me to get all their signatures, and I was the to-go person. So I was handling all that business for them. So y'all, the night before, I was looking over all my paperwork and making sure I had everything in place. Y'all, the $1,400 was nowhere to be found. I could not find this money anywhere. Me and my husband, we looking all under the sofas, the beds. We are all in the cars. Can't find this $1,400 nowhere. So I went in panic mode, of course, because I'm like, oh my goodness, they are dependent on me to get them into this apartment. I need this money. Where is this money? And so this went on for hours and hours looking for the money to no avail. Could not find the money, y'all. I'm like, what am I going to do? So went to bed. Of course, I didn't rest well. So I got up the next morning. I was like, okay, I'm going to be late to work. I'm not even worrying about work at this point. If I got to call in, boom, whatever I got to do, because what's going on? So I went and I started retracking my steps. And I remember, I was in Big Lots last night. And I had this brown journal. I carry my journal because I was keeping all the notes, who I talked to. I was writing all this down in my journal. Y'all done heard me talk about how I love the journal. So I had people's contact names. I had addresses. I had bank account information. All this stuff I was writing in this particular journal. I remember having that envelope with this money in it too. And I'm like, wherever the journal is, that's where the money is. Couldn't find the journal. But like I said, I was retracking, and I remember being in Big Lots, having that journal in my hand. So I'm like, when Big Lots open, I'm going to be the first one at the door. And I sure was. I was the first person in Big Lots, y'all. So I went in Big Lots, and I remember walking into the entrance, it wasn't even a good 20 steps. I remember being in this particular area. My eyes automatically went to this location and I could see the journal sitting on top. Y'all, I opened the journal up, $1,400. It sat there all night long. Nobody ever touched that journal. They never opened it, and it looked out of order. It looked out of place. So I didn't understand why whoever would do the cleaning at night and put things back in place, they should have got it. They should have got it, but they didn't. And I always keep that in the back of my head when I start feeling that worrying coming on me. I'm like, God got this. He got this. If he can let $1,400 sit overnight, he can take care of whatever you're going through, D. He can take care of whatever you are going through. I keep that in my head. I don't need to be worrying. Whatever I can do, I need to do it. I had did all the looking. I had did all the fixing, all the planning I could to help my mother and grandmother get situated in this apartment. I had did everything I could do, but then during the process, I had lost the journal and the money, and God saw fit that I was able to go back to that store and retrieve it, and everything was happily ever after that, for a time anyway. So I just want to talk a little bit about, putting worry to the side. Why worry is a spiritual battle. Worry stems from fear and lack of trust in God's provision. That's exactly what it is. Understanding this can help us overcome anxieties with faith. That's exactly what it is. It's a lack of trust in God's provision. We say we trust God, but then we get in these moments that we get so fearful, we get so scared, we think things are not going to work out. No, we got to wipe all of that out of our heads and get back on track. God promised to provide. The Bible is filled with assurance that God meets our needs when we seek him first. Seek ye first the kingdom. If we are seeking God constantly, wholeheartedly, things are going to work out. It may not work out on our time management, but it will work out on his time management. And I know you guys get tired of me saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over, because I say this because I need to hear this as well. God got us. Okay, shifting from anxiety to faith. Practical ways to redirect our thoughts from worry is to worship, trusting that God holds our future. We got to get out of our heads and start putting our focus back on God. We got to learn how to worship God. Worship God. Give him time. Give him praise. Let him know that we love him. We adore him. We reverence him in all that he has done and will do for us. It's not complicated. Get your mind off your problems. Get your mind off your worries. God, I love you. I thank you. I magnify you. You're so worthy, worthy, worthy. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. You got to find you some worship music. Go into your zone. Go sit in your car sometimes and just turn on some worship music. Through the house, while you're cooking, just start worshiping. It's going to leave you. Those anxieties, it's got to scatter. It's got to go. It's all in the mind, y'all. It's all in the mind. Let's some action steps here. Identify your worries. Write down the biggest worries weighing on your heart and take them to God. Write them down. God, this is what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned about my wayward child, God. Lord, my child is out here doing all kind of crazy stuff, and he or she was brought up in the right kind of home. God, help me with this. Help me with this, God. Help me take this off my head. Meditate on God's word. Read and reflect on scriptures about God's provision. That was going to replace it with anxieties. Read his word. What does his word say? Cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. He wants your cares. He wants them. Practice gratitude daily. Focus on the blessings you already have, reinforcing, trusting in God's continued care. What has God already done for you? He's already made a way for you. Like I say, I always go back to that time where that money was lost and that money was there. It said overnight. People walked past $1,400 and didn't even pick it up. Didn't even open up the journal that looked out of place. What is that thing? 3 of these things. And something doesn't belong here. 3 of these things are kind of the same. But one of these things just doesn't belong here. Now it's time to play our game. Y'all remember that? But yeah, they would have some things there and one would not belong. That journal did not belong, but God's provision and protection over that situation, He took control. I know y'all like, did she go to Sesame Street? I sure did. That came from Sesame Street. But yeah, y'all, we got to learn how to trust God in everything we say, everything we do, knowing that He has our best interests in mind. You might have to go visit the doctor this week. You're waiting on some test results. God, be with me as I go and see this doctor, as I sit in the waiting room. I'm giving it to you, God. You know where I am in my life. God, I'm asking you to, care for me, care for my body, care for my health, restore. Give it to Him. He wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. He wants to hear about your struggles. You might be struggling with some type of addiction, gambling, alcohol, sex, shopping, whatever it may be. Give it to God. He is a way maker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who He is. That is who He is. Okay, guys. Until next time, continue to grow and glow in the Lord. Talk to you soon.